And we are live to air. We see the first few participants streaming in here, the early birds that are online a couple minutes before the hour. Kudos to you guys. Thanks for joining us here. For those coming into the stream, it's Tyler Lessard from Vidyard here with the one and only, depending on where I am on your screen, Thomas Buchanan from Modus.
Pleasure to be here today. Thanks for having me, Sales Hacker, and thanks for having me, Tyler.
All right, this is going to be an entertaining and action-packed session here, folks. So as you're coming in here, just stay tuned. We're going to kick things off in a few minutes once we have a quorum of attendees. But for those of you who have joined in early, please drop us a note in the chat. Let us know where you're coming from. And remember to change the to field in the chat window from all panelists to all panelists and attendees so everybody can see what you post. Let us know where you're coming from geographically, how beautiful a day it is where you are. And I'd also love to know what your role is. If you're joining here as an SDR, as an account executive, a sales manager, head of HR, whatever your role happens to be, let us know so we can make sure we tailor the conversation out to all of you. So hop on into the chat. Please let us know. Thank you very much, Neil, for kicking things off from cloudy and overcast Scotland. Wouldn't have it any other way. Jason from sunny and beautiful Chicago. Love me some Chicago. Sarah, regional sales manager in, beautiful Minneapolis.
Nice.
Thomas, do you know a thing or two about Minneapolis?
It's where I live.
Fantastic. Do you happen to know Sarah Wheeler? I mean, there's only like 100 people in Minneapolis, isn't there?
Yeah. Actually, 100 is how many there are that are here. No, I don't know her, and there's lots of people that are here.
That's only the start, my friend. I'm Tyler Lessard here from Vidyard. For those tuning in, I am here at Vidyard just outside of Toronto. And so, I'm here from Canada, so I'm going to play the, there's only 20 people. Do you know that person game with you, Thomas? Because I get enough as the Canadian. And yes, I do know Chuck. He's a great guy. And he and I have igloos next to each other. Hey, we got Adam here from the lazy banks of the Hudson River. Oh, such a beautiful place. I wish I could come down and see it right now, but I'm not allowed over the border. Michelle from Holly Springs, North Carolina. All right, Stephen, a BDR out of Boston. Glad to hear it's a nice day there. For those of you just joining here, we're going to kick things off with the formal conversation in just a couple of minutes as we get everybody joining us. But if you did just pop in, a quick note to drop us a note in the chat. Let us know who you are, where you're coming from. I'd love to know if you're what your role is. Are you a BDR, a sales manager, account executive, the CEO? Let us know in the chat window. And remember to turn the all panelists to all panelists and attendees so that everybody can get introduced to each other. We got Corey in here from Dallas. Great to have you. And thank you very much, Layla, for letting me know that Toronto is amazing. And it is. It's a beautiful place. Couldn't be happier with where I am at. Donovan and AE from Santa Monica. And finally, we have Remco from the Netherlands. I knew we would have somebody from the Netherlands joining us here today. It is a hotbed for B2B sales and sales technology right now. I have people from the Netherlands on almost every webinar I do for one reason or another, and I absolutely love seeing you here, Remco. Thank you for joining us. We got Jay from Jersey. We got Jeffrey from NYC. We got a great group here, folks. We have a terrific audience here already. We're going to start the conversation in T-minus 1 minute. And some quick housekeeping items for those of you out there right now. As you're already seeing, please use the chat window to spark up a conversation and add any comments or questions that you may have as we go. But also, please use the formal Q&A box to submit any specific questions that you have. We will be watching that and we'll prioritize those questions as we go through the session, as well as any time that we do have at the end. But please drop them in real time as we will try to answer questions as we go if they are topically relevant to where we're at. All righty, we're almost ready to go here. We got Gordon from Chicago, perfect. And we have Arturo here, a sales development representative from Mexicali, Mexico. And I think that is our sign to kick things off because I was waiting for Arturo to join. Arturo is here now. So I think we can kick things off here with the formal proceedings. All right, everyone. So, for those of you who haven't met yet, my name is Tyler Lessard. I'm the VP Marketing here at Vidyard, and your host and moderator in a takeover session of the Sales Hacker webinar.
Mm.
Unfortunately, our dear friend Scott Barker from Sales Hacker was not able to join us due to a last-minute conflict. But rest assured, Thomas and I are going to carry the weight here and walk you through some, I think, not only amazing, but super practical and actionable content on how it is that you can use customized video content, one-to-one videos, off-the-shelf videos throughout the entire sales process to better engage your buyers, to better engage remote stakeholders, and ultimately, what's most important, close more deals faster. And it's as simple as that. So I will be moderating the conversation here today. We will be recording this session and providing all of you with a copy of that recording afterwards. So the answer to that question is an absolute yes, and you can share it around with friends and family. And with that, I think we're ready to kick things off, and I would like to pass it over to Thomas to quickly introduce himself as he is the star of the show.
Yes, I'm Thomas Buchanan. I work at Modus. We're a sales enablement company that helps distribute marketing assets to distributors, dealers, and your sales channel. I started using Vidyard. Geez, it was hard to believe it was almost 4 years ago, Tyler.
Right.
Yeah, and I started off as an SDR, so I was an SDR using Vidyard, and then they didn't kick me out of the company and kept me around despite the ridiculous videos I was making. And I've been an AE for this is my third year now, and I'm really enjoying it and really enjoying video throughout the entire sales process.
Fantastic. So we're gonna, kick things off by learning a little bit more about Thomas to contextualize for all of you how he sells, and you can use that as guidance for how this applies to your own sales process. So, Thomas, would you mind just telling us a bit about who you sell to, kind of what your typical sales cycle looks like, and
Mhm.
sort of how your role really works in an enterprise sales capacity?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm usually selling to people in a marketing role or maybe sales leadership sometimes. So I know a lot of people are doing that as well. It's a very hard position, heavily prospected, holds budget, right, Tyler? You're going to have people shaking you down for money later too, probably.
Never ending.
But so yeah, it's I'm prospecting fairly hard to get a hold of people. I prospect people mostly in manufacturing, I'd say, but we
Okay.
do lean into healthcare, med device manufacturing, that sort of thing too. And our sales cycles usually between 6 to 9 to 12 months. There's some accounts I've been working for 3 years and I still haven't signed yet, but that's the fun in it, isn't it, Tyler? So I've the fun or not fun, but of course it can be shorter, it can be longer. But
Yep.
and then I use Vidyard through pretty much the entire sales process.
Yeah, brilliant. So, in this world of kind of enterprise sales that you're doing, where again, it could be
Mhm.
long deal cycles, bigger deals that you're working, and probably more stakeholders that need to get involved. Is there anything you can share with respect to, how things may or may not have changed over the last 3 years or over the last 3 months, with respect to how you're selling or how you're seeing people buying now that the world is increasingly remote and digital?
Yeah, it seems like every time Gartner or Forrester, some of the two leading research organizations, in the B2B world, come out with a study, it seems there's always an increasing number of people sitting at the buying table.
Right.
And for sales reps, it becomes increasingly challenging, especially because companies are becoming more global, right? You have decision makers in Europe, a decision maker in Asia, and maybe five in the United States.
Right.
So all of a sudden, having everybody hop on a conference call and get all the heads nodding at once, saying, "Yeah, let's do this," right? It's becoming more and more elusive as time goes on. So I'd say in the past 3 years, that is, some of the changes I've seen, more global organizations, and also more people sitting at the buying committee. But then beyond that, in the past 3 months, we got this whole work from home thing, and everybody is pretty much always on Zoom meetings all day long, which of course leads to Zoom fatigue, which we all know of, right?
Yes, and so it's an interesting thing now. As I ask this next question, everybody listening in here, please drop a note into the chat to let us know how many people are typically in your buying committee when you're selling your solutions. Is it typically just one person who's your champion and decision maker and budget holder? Is it 3 to 5 people in the overall average buying committee at your prospects? Is it 10 to 20 people? If you don't know, that's okay, but let us know what your average tends to be. And I'm seeing a lot of 3 to 5s, 5 to 10s. Haven't seen anybody say 1 to 2. So I think we all know that there's multiple people in. Layla's got one, sometimes two. So I've seen a lot of different answers in here, ranging anywhere from 1 to 10, and I expect some of us are even 10 plus, Thomas. And I think what's interesting in this new world, and we talked about it a little bit in the description of this session, is that it's not only how we sell that needs to change in this remote world, right? Because we can't meet people in person, we can't always get everybody on a Zoom call, but the way that those buyers have to buy, right? Like, again, I'm sitting on the other side of having to make buy decisions, and I've got a committee of a lot of people. And to your point, I can't just bring everybody together in a meeting room. We can't hop into the caf and grab a coffee and talk about it. And so it's actually, harder in many ways for for me to buy. And I'm just interested in your opinion on that and how you think about that world of remote buying, and what that means for kind of how we think about selling and empowering our champions.
Yeah, so when you're applying that and, when you're trying to solve that problem, the first thing that you should do is probably listen, right? Ask good questions and listen. Who's going to be involved? What are they interested in? So I might have an IT person that's on my buying committee, and they don't care about how we integrate with Marketo or Eloqua, right? That's for the marketing ops people. So what you can start to do when you figure out what people are interested in is make relevant videos based on what they need in order to sign off on it, right? So I might have my technical team talk about our API documentation and send the video to me, and then I'll forward it along to the correct people. Or they will give me something and I'll walk them through it. And then I'll start making these bite-sized pieces of content for the correct people in the buying committee. And I usually only send them to one person. Keep that in mind. So, you have a champion or someone who's an advocate, and they will put the videos in the correct places. So that's just a one idea to how to engage multiple people. But I'd say that the first baby step is doing just short videos, 90-second demos is what I call them. So it's like a 90-second overview of my product. And that's probably the most staple video I make. And then I have offshoots around integrations,
Right.
documentation, and security.
Yeah, it's great. I think just that general concept of empowering that buyer with the right content to get to people, but doing it in a way that, yes, it's bite sized. So those individuals aren't asked to, like, hey, watch this hour-long recording of this demo we did, because they're not going to do that. Right. And giving them that, like, hey, here's a quick 3-minute, video they made for you to quickly explain how this affects your part of the business or something like that, I think is super smart. Now, you started off by talking about your own evolution. You were a sales development rep a few years ago. You're now an enterprise account executive. And I know that you've found ways from the very early days to use video throughout all of those different phases, right? Prospecting to now sort of managing an account, moving through a deal cycle. Can you just peel that back a little bit and help let people know some of those different ways that you've been using video, and which ones you found to be, really successful?
Yeah. So Vidyard or other video platforms have different types of video you can make, right? Okay, so it's a couple clicks and you're recording a video. One of the videos is it could be my face, like I'm sitting here, and then I can hold up a notebook or a whiteboard and say, "Hey, I'm harassing you in your inbox, and it's Thomas, right? And please click this and book a meeting with me," right? That's one of the videos that I make.
That's perfect messaging right there. Perfect. Nailed it.
Yeah, yeah. How was my pitch? Good. Yeah, you ready to buy yet? So that's one, and that's sort of like the attention getting video. The other one I've done as an SDR, which is where you have the person's LinkedIn up and you highlight something you said, because you're responsible for this, I think you would find this interesting. And then you can do a little case study or something like that. But as time's gone on, I've done, and my pipeline's getting more full and I know more people, right? I'm doing less like pounding the pavement now that I'm a more established rep. So what I'm doing is I'm managing my existing pipeline of opportunities and shortening the sales cycle by using video.
Yep.
So I'm making sure oh, you're interested in this integration now. Here's a video. I saw you opened up a distribution channel in China. Here's how our app works with foreign languages. So that's an interesting, thoughtful way I can manage existing pipelines. So it started off with the attention grabber, trying to book the meeting, calling, that sort of thing. I will say, there's going to be a lot less click through rate on people that you're messaging cold, right? They're just not going to watch your videos as much. And it can be discouraging, just like prospecting in general. So I've made 20 videos and one person clicked one and they don't want a meeting. Yeah, I know that's hard. It's hard to get a hold of important people. Like, that's just the way it is. I like using video in combination with the phone. I don't pretty much do any email prospecting unless it has a video in it. But I use it in combination with the phone. I see somebody clicked my link, I'll follow up with a phone call, and that's how I hopefully get them in my pipeline, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it certainly does, and I think it emphasizes the point that video can be used creatively at different stages, right? And to me, if you're outbound prospecting, a big role of that is helping you get the attention, right, in the first place, and using some
Hmm.
creative visuals to establish that rapport. I think early on, but if you're using it as an account executive with existing accounts or through a deal cycle, it's less about, hey, I'm trying to get your attention, and it's more about, hey, I need to educate you on this specific topic or this specific capability, or this aspect of what you're looking for to accelerate the deal cycle and not have to say, hey, let's book a Zoom meeting 2 weeks out when we can all get on our calendars to talk about this. Instead, like, hey, actually, I just sent you a video that explains that very idea. Can we
Hmm.
follow up on this tomorrow? Is that a fair way to think about it?
Yeah, and I don't have an SDR underneath me, so I do the full thing now. So maybe someday, but right now it's just me. So how me as an account, I'm sure there's a lot of people listening that are in my same boat, right? Not everybody has a luxury of an SDR army dialing on their behalf. But what I do is I call first. I know a lot about the account. I know you sell through a distribution channel. Know you have dealers. I'm curious if I can send you a video of how somebody solves this problem. Then they say, sure. I say, great. I make them a 90-second video. That's the next step. I don't even ask for a meeting, right?
Right.
And then based on their engagement with the video, right? I see what percentage of the video they watched. I see how many times they watched it.
Mhm.
And based on those analytics, if I send out 10 vidyards, 2 people of the 10 are engaged, I'm going to call those 2 people instead of all 10. And the people who I call that have watched the video 4 times already, automatically they're further down the buying process. So when we do put a call on calendar, it's going to have more people on it. Several people have probably seen my video and they know exactly what the meeting's about.
Right.
And I don't have to bore them with a 30-minute discovery call where I ask them questions about their business, which I'm sure you love those, right, Tyler?
Oh yeah, that's the best use of my time. Always look forward to that. Yeah, it's interesting because you're both using it as a way to make yourself more efficient, and I think make the buyer, you're respecting their time and allowing them to and consume things on their time. They can go back to parts, rewatch that stuff. They can forward it around, and I actually think this is it's a really exciting opportunity to kind of reinvent how we sell, and I think it's beneficial to both parties, which I think is a big win. Can you sort of bucketize for people? Uh, just I want everybody to like take down a few notes now, and maybe I'll pop them into the chat as well. Of just thinking about, what are some of those categories or types of videos that you've come to use consistently in your sales process? We talked about a few of like the outbound prospecting video, the
Mhm.
custom demo, maybe a walkthrough, things like that. Can you just kind of put a pin in like a few different types of videos that you use that you think people should be considering out there right now?
Yeah, yeah, and I'll do that. First, do you mind if we answer this question real quick from Corey
Oh,
Pittman?
let's do
He,
it.
he said, with these analytics, how do you change the prep for your meeting?
Oh, I like that.
That's a really good question. So with Vidyard, you know what percentage of the video they watched. So if I see they watched 75% and the past 25%, I reviewed something that I think they need to see, but I know they didn't watch. It can be one of the things I know I for sure need to cover, right?
Yeah.
Or when you combine Vidyard in in use with a sales engagement tool like Outreach or uh, Outreach or Sales Loft are two of the big names in it, right? Then you can understand what location people are watching in, and then you can go to LinkedIn and see, all right, who from this company works here, and therefore you can kind of see, who's in the buying committee before you are even told. Like you can get a general idea. Oh, the director of marketing's in Buffalo. He watched it from here, and then we also have this person from there. So all of a sudden, you can kind of shape that there might be an influencer in Buffalo or something like that. So it gives you a better idea on how that plays out. So I hope that answered your question, Corey. All right, and then the next thing was different types of videos. So different types of videos. There's a 90-second demo, okay? And that one's really tight. Beginning a sales cycle, one feature. Do one or two features and that's it. That's all you should talk about. Show a customer example if you can. And then the next video I have is the introductory video. I'm Thomas. I've done this for acquisitions before. So like, hey, I saw you just acquired Wabco. They're a customer of ours, and I want to shoot you this video. So I introduce myself, right? Or if somebody changes companies, hey Jim, we used to work together when you were at this place. I'm Thomas. You did this. So it doesn't need to be a demo. They kind of know what we do. And then there's a longer demo, which is about 3.5 minutes, more in depth. Someone who's already has interest. They already have a group of people who are sort of on the buying committee. And then I make them a longer demo video, a little bit more in depth, make sure it's part of the industry they're related in. So that's a really good handful of videos you can use. Introductory video, 90-second demo, longer demo. And then I also do whiteboard videos. I haven't done as many of those recently, but if you want to illustrate something on a whiteboard, you can do that too.
Yeah. And one other thing, I'm going to drop this in a second here, folks, a summary of those. But have you used video in the actual sales proposal stage? So when you're walking somebody through, your actual line items and pricing and such. I've heard others who are using that as an opportunity to record a video walking through their proposal and explaining it, that can get sent around as opposed to just sending over the document or whatnot. Is that something you've done as well or not yet?
I've done it very rarely. I sell enterprise software, right? So if there's only a handful of things that could move across the finish line to help me hit my numbers. So usually there's also sometimes a good amount of line items in my proposals, depending on integrations, depending on the onboarding program, all these sort of things, right? So I usually like to review it over a Zoom call. Therefore, they can ask questions. I can answer them right away. That being said, a cool trick on that, Tyler, if you want to get real cool, is you record the Zoom call, grab the MP4, upload it into Vidyard, and follow it up with the meeting, and you can track engagement on that afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to take it up to 1 million, that's a really cool thing you can do, but that's different.
Awesome. Okay, great. There's actually a question that came in through the Q&A box from Mike Burns. Is an interesting one. It sounds like, so in the market that you sell to, there may be some that you're selling to somebody who is likely going to just would default to going with a big brand to cover their ass, right?
Yeah.
Got fired for buying IBM, right? Whereas maybe you are the lesser known brand, but you have more value. You know that you have better customer relationships.
Right.
Are there ways that you can use video to convince those businesses when you think your buyer is just going to make a CYA choice and go with the big brand in their market?
The fact that you're making a video in the first place is the cool thing. It's like this guy cares enough to sit here, take a couple swings at making a video answering a question when the other person, I don't know. And also I know there's a lot of big companies who don't use personal video because they're not necessarily allowed to. We don't want 5,000 salespeople creating their own content willy-nilly. I understand that, but I'm going to use that to my advantage.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. I was thinking the same sort of thing, because even like the sale, as we all know, the sales process itself is a representation of how that business is going to do business with you. And the more attentive, proactive, hands-on the sales rep is, the greater expectation they have that the post-sales experience will be like that. And so I think to your point of like the fact that you make them, custom videos. I think a big part of it too is getting your face as an account executive in front of those others in the buying committee. Because again, the big brand probably isn't doing this, and all the other stakeholders who aren't on those live calls, they're just hearing everything secondhand, and they have no personal relationship
Yeah,
back to
that's
you,
right.
right? So they have no problem going, nope, this Mike Burns guy, I don't care. I don't know anything about him. He's just an email address to me, shove him to the side.
Yeah.
Whereas if Mike's face has gotten in front of all of those executives and they know him as a real person, my gut says they're going to be like, you know what, we should go. I really like Mike. I've met him in videos, right, that I wouldn't have otherwise. Haven't met any of those other sales reps. And I think those little things go a long way. So I think it was a great question.
Yeah, no, that is a great question.
There's a couple before we move on here. There's a couple questions related to the prospecting side of the house, which again I know you've had some experience with.
Hmm.
One question, and they're almost related, is to, is there any things you've learned with respect to how to, maximize the click through and engagement when sending out a video? And this is probably true whether it's prospecting or dealing with, an existing account. Is anything from like your subject line to your thumbnail images to whatever it is you do in that message to make sure somebody pays attention to actually click into that video?
Yeah, and I was checking through these comments here, and it looks like a lot of people are digging into that Tyler. And it's I would say that sending out cold videos should not be your first instinct for prospecting, to be honest. Like mine, where I have found success is picking up the phone. I know every salesperson in this webinar is probably looking for a reason to avoid picking up the phone. I will tell you there's no substitute, okay? But when you combine it with video, that's where the magic happens. So you
Right.
have a 30-second conversation, tops, and then you follow up with a 90-second demo.
Yeah.
And the amount of the click through rate is going to be so much better. Don't make it a standard video, make it just for them,
Yeah.
make it about their company, do your research, understand. I know that there's some people who are like, no, just like dial, don't research. But it also depends what kind of sales you're in, right?
Yep.
If I had to sell, 100 things at $5,000 to hit my number, I'd probably be prospecting and managing my pipeline a lot differently than I
Right.
do today.
Yeah. Well, and it's a good point that there's, I think a lot of, SDRs and account execs that probably have sort of different tiers of prospects they're going after. And those, tier 2, 3, 4 may not be getting the kind of love. They may be getting, templated messaging for scale, but those tier 1, leads and opportunities, I think this is, spot on with that little bit of extra effort can pay off in spades. And, one of the things that you mentioned, which I've seen a lot of people doing with success now is, making that phone call and leaving the voicemail, and or sending, connecting on social and sending a message. But in both of those cases, with the voicemail or the social message, saying, "Hey there, I've sent you a video in your inbox to introduce myself and explain in about 30 seconds what it is that I think we can help with," or some better wording than that. But using a custom video that you sent to them as like the CTA of those. So instead
Right.
of your voicemail saying, "Hey, wondering if you have 15 minutes to talk, can we book a meeting?" Da 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 da. Use the voicemail to say, "Hey, it's Tyler from Vidyard here. I just or I'm about to send you a quick video to introduce myself and to da 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 da. I would love your feedback on that and let me know what you think." Right? And you
Yep.
know that trigger
And
moment of like, wait a minute, they sent me a video that like, and I think that is a really great tactic.
yeah, and on top of that, Tyler, like with that video message, what I've done before is the title or the subject line in the email is this that contains the video, right?
Right.
And if I know one thing is that I've seen in the comments here is someone's like, well, what's a good subject line? Well, okay, everybody's looking for the magic subject line that gets the email open. The reality is it doesn't exist. But there is one that I've learned that I will share with you because I'm giving away all my secrets here just for you folks tuning in. First name, comma, I made you a video, exclamation point. So Tyler, comma, I made you a video. That's it. Then they look like, what? You made me a video, and then they click on it. But if that's not a personal video, you got to go jump in the river, because if you
Yeah,
told them you made them a
that's
video and
right.
you didn't, you don't want to start the sales process off on deception.
I did a session recently with Morgan Ingram from the John Barrow sales group, and he had something very similar. His go-to subject line that he's seen the highest response from is first name plus my name. So if I was prospecting you, it would be like um, Thomas plus Tyler, or Vidyard plus Modus, a little pipe, and then video for you.
Yeah.
And it's, there's I think a lot of power to that simplicity as well, that like immediately creates that curiosity. And to
Yep.
your point, right now it is novel, right? And that's part of the power of this. So people are like, wait a minute, you made me a video. And those of us in the industry were like, yeah, everybody's doing this, but the reality is not that. And most people aren't getting custom
Yeah.
videos in their inbox, right?
Yep.
um,
Well, and that brings us to Stephen Wilk right here. He said, "I run an inside sales team with 10 reps. This would be getting outside their comfort zone. Any tips on getting over the fear of creating the quota, or getting over the fear of creating the video?" Yeah, the fear of creating the video is not hitting your quota.
yeah,
Okay, so uh, and the reality is that's why video is going to remain cool and cutting edge for a long time, because most people don't want to do it. Just like how the phone's a good tool to use too. Most people don't want to do it. Everybody wants to send cold emails all day long, which I'd rather talk to people than blow up their inbox, to be
yeah.
honest.
And Ebony just gave a great tip, which was right in line with some of the things that we recommend. Is get your team to get comfortable with video internally first before they go external with
Mm,
it, right? So even run like a 2-week challenge where they each have to send internal videos to others in the team, maybe recapping a success story, or feedback on a call they just had. Give somebody else kudos, right? So just get into that rhythm of record, send. Do some of them with your webcam, do some of them as a screen capture. And that, I think, will quickly get people over that hurdle. And make them feel like not every video has to be something that's external to a customer. I think there's little things like that that you can absolutely do. And on this point, though, Thomas, there's a few questions here about tools that you use, and we can expand beyond that. But for some people, this idea is still quite foreign, right? Like,
yeah.
am I using my smartphone to record a video? Am I uploading it to YouTube? What am I doing? So, how does it work for you in your role?
Yeah. So I have a robust sales technology stack. I've tried lots of different sales tech. I've tried a couple different video creating tools. I have landed on Vidyard for my video creating tool. That's what I use. I like it for a variety of reasons. First, it's just easy and lightning fast. To be honest, I'm pretty terrible with technology despite selling software.
So
So
easy, even Thomas can use it.
yeah, right. Right. And I failed all my math classes in high school. I'll tell you that. Anyways, so it's really easy to use, couple clicks, and to make it real basic, it's a Chrome browser plugin, right? That's how most people use it. You click it, you record a video, and then you have the ability to make it into a GIF. So I could have my arm waving like this, and that increases the click through rate when you make it into a GIF. And then it embeds it in the email. So when a prospect or existing customer opens up the email, usually I do around 200 characters. That's another really good trick, is if you do about 200 characters before the video, um, then you'll increase your click-through rate in the video. And we got a guest appearance over there. And then after that, you do the 200 characters, do the video, and that will increase your click-through rate. Usually that's following up a phone call. So it embeds the video. It looks like a nice big box, easy to click, easy to watch on a smartphone. A lot of my videos are watched on a smartphone. So yeah, I make it with my laptop. I have a Mac, just uses the Mac camera. It's pretty lo-fi as far as how quick it is to make a video. So it's pretty easy to do. I like it. And then I also use it in combination with sales engagement software, which I really like. Then I also use Zoom Info, which I really like. Then I also use LinkedIn Sales Navigator and Salesforce for my CRM. So that's my whole tech stack right there, pretty much.
Yeah, I love it. We use very similar tools here, and that is one of the things that we've found. Whether you're using Vidyard, or there's others. I see people commenting on other tools like Loom and Drift and others. A lot of these tools are being built to just make it really simple and natural to say, record my video, send it off. I'm not like dealing with MP4s or anything like that. It automatically drops the thumbnail image into your email. You can send it via social or wherever it needs to go. And then as part of the kind of upgrade of those tools, typically you can brand the pages that they're on, add custom calls to action, all those kinds of things. So it can quickly become, I think, a really simple tool to use. But also, again, that's where you start to unlock that power of getting your people comfortable with that as just a part of the communication, methodology, and reminding people your first video is always going to be your worst, and your last video is usually going to be your best, right? Like
Right.
anything, getting those reps, just like cold calling, right?
It took me about 50 or so videos before they actually became good. And
Yeah,
before it took a while. It was just like my first, I remember my first cold call to this day too, at my first SDR job. And it
yeah,
was ugly, right? But I was like, I'm just going to make a ton and get the bad ones out of the way.
right.
Uh,
Now you've gotten pretty creative with some of the things that I know we've talked about that you've done, and I'd like to just open that up to the audience here as well. So we talked about a lot of the expected things like yep, a little prospecting video,
yep.
recording a custom demo video. You told me once that you created a little multi-part like video series for one of your prospects as a way to just get them some interesting content in a different way. Can you share that story with the folks?
Yeah, well, it started off in quarantine, and I had very little to do besides stare at the wall and think about nerdy sales stuff. So truly, ingenuity can come out of boredom. I will tell you that without hesitation. But so I was, thinking of ways. I had a couple things that were kind of stuck, and I was like, "Geez, what can I do?" But we have a bunch of customers, right? And I knew that some of these customers relate to this prospect as far as industry problems they were solving, things like that. So what I did is I created a 4-part mini series, episode 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I called it Snappy Apps. All I had was an intro. Hey, it's Thomas with Modus. Welcome to the first episode of Snappy Apps, where I show you a sales or dealer app in a snap. On this episode, I am going to show you the Caterpillar Virtual Showroom, how a manufacturing giant known for their heavy equipment distributes sales assets to a dealer channel around the world. And then I would go, and do like a little quick demo of the cat virtually. Yeah, you like that?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, the espresso's paying off, man. But anyways, that was so that's a cool idea. 4-part mini series. Each were about 3.5 minutes long. I sent one on Tuesday morning, one on Thursday morning, next Tuesday morning, next Thursday morning, and it really, really helped me progress it. And now I've been able to see success in that. Now I'm replicating that, of course.
Well, the great thing about that is not only like was that an interesting and kind of creative way to use video to stand out, but I think it also comes back to this really important idea of using video to put your personality out there, right? To use whatever is your own kind of superpower as a relationship builder and put it out there and not just reserving those moments for like those live Zoom calls. Because the reality is the live Zoom calls are usually more structured and formal, but something like that, right? I have no doubt when that prospect watched it and they were like, wow, who is this guy? And I can't wait to work with these guys, right? Which I think is amazing.
Well, Tyler, you had some trade shows cancel. You got some marketing budget lying around. Everybody should go make Tyler a video. You like
So
some
Sharon,
miniseries.
yeah, Sharon just commented in the thread, just a panelist, but surprise and delight, right? Which I think is the perfect
Right.
way to frame that up. Of it is such a great way to do that, and I think that's an underappreciated tactic in today's remote selling world, where we're
Yep.
all kind of honed back to this grind of like transactional things, and we're trying to meet our activity numbers. But we very rarely, most reps step back and go, how could I really surprise and delight this prospect or this customer, right? Like, how could I do something a little bit extra that makes them feel something and gets them connected to me personally or my brand? One quick story of another individual that I work with, and feel free to check some of the questions while I tell the story, Thomas. Just take a
Yeah,
minute.
you bet.
But we do an awards program each year for video and sales, and one of the winners last year was Frankie Weschler from a company called Dynamic Signal, and he was using it for prospecting. But he was going after Buffalo Wild Wings as a target account. Now, I mean, obviously, Buffalo Wild Wings, a restaurant that sells wings. So he was dialing, he was emailing, couldn't get a response. So he went down to the local Buffalo Wild Wing and did a takeout order of their hottest wings. They're called the Blazing Wings.
Oh
And
no.
he brought the
Oh no.
Blazing Wings back to the office and he sits down at his desk and he's holding it like this and he hits the record button in Vidyard and he kicks off his video going, hey, it's Frankie here. I've been reaching out to you guys a number of times, haven't gotten a response. And to show you how committed I am to solving problems for you guys. I'm going to do my pitch while eating your hottest blazing wings.
Oh my
Off
God.
the charts. So he opens it up. He takes the first bite of the wings, and like within a second, he's just like he's tearing up, he's like choking on it. And then he goes into his pitch, right? And he's like coughing through it, and he delivers his full pitch while like tearing up and coughing over this hot wing. And at the end of it, people around him in his office, this is when we were still in offices, stood up and applauded him. They all cheered, and like Frankie pumps his fist and sends the video, right? And he sent it
Oh my goodness.
to a few different people in that account. And he ended up with like within a matter of days, he had hundreds of views on it from people across the company. And yes, he booked the meeting and progressed that deal, right? And it
Yeah.
was just like, now you're not always selling to a company that sells wild wings, right? And
Right.
you're not always selling to a shoe company, so you could just hold up one of their shoes in the video. But it's that kind of like, how can you get a little bit creative? Again, whether you're prospecting or using it in other areas, you don't have to get wild, you don't have to get crazy, but harness your personality and your energy, and figure out how to make video a good an ally of yours, if you will.
Yeah, I sell to heavy equipment manufacturers, and anytime I see a piece of heavy equipment in my neighborhood, I'm seeing if I can like get Wi-Fi signal or shoot it with my phone. And I say, "Hey, we met at this conference. I saw this truck. It reminded me of you. Curious how things are going, and if you have any of these issues, right?" But man, I don't know if the hot wing challenge is worth it. That's like, I'm.
That was, yeah, when we awarded him, it was like he literally risked his life. Right? Like that is commitment to sales excellence. I loved it.
Yeah.
So we've got a little bit of time here left. If anybody has specific questions, please keep dropping them in. I want to ask you a question here, Thomas, about some of your just personal best practices for being successful with video that you've learned. Is there anything that in your experience has really helped you just kind of get it right with video? Is it having the right equipment? Is it the right mindset? Is it practice? What do you recommend for everybody else that wants to get to that level of being comfortable creating and sharing videos at the level that you're at?
Yeah, so one really good habit, and this applies to a lot of things in sales, is say why you're making the video. I'm making you this video because, right? I mean, having attention. I'm showing that this is a video of the cat virtual showroom. Here, I'm wanting to show you how they do this. This is the purpose of the video. And without establishing a purpose like right away, uh, you're going to have less people that watch it all the way through, first and foremost. And then there's, of course, the visual aspect, the audio aspect. I got this Noob Fragger headset. Also use it to play Apex Legends, on the weekends. I have this. I have a lamp here right now on to my right. It's a lamp that my girlfriend's mad at me because I keep taking the shades off of all of our lamps to record vineyards. But that's just what we need to do. Okay.
Yeah.
So and then but also having a window on the other side of your camera is really good. Keeping the camera at eye level height, right? So my chair, I'd put it down to the lowest setting, and the computer's on a Catan box right now. So these are all really good best practices. And length of videos. Please don't send prospects super long videos. Yep. Nobody wants us to watch that. They will watch less of your videos forever if you send them long, boring videos. And so be very wary of doing that. You can bore people to death.
Love it. All right. I'm going to add a few of my tips. Well, if you wouldn't mind, there's a question in the chat. You had talked about the other tools in your tech stack earlier on in the session. Would you mind dropping in there and just putting the names of some of those tools for the folks in the chat of some of those different pieces of your tech stack?
Yeah, you want me to put them in there, or you want to do it?
Yeah, I didn't write them all down. I just heard Vidyard.
Okay, so there's Outreach and Sales Loft for sales engagement, and then there's Salesforce CRM, of course, the giant, and then I use Vidyard, and then Zoom Info.
Mm-hmm.
This is a database, so you get phone numbers, emails from that, and then Sales Navigator, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and then our marketing team uses another different suite of tools, including Vidyard as well. But that's mine. That's my core tech stack there.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay, let me get to a couple of other member or audience member questions here. There's a question that came in from Chad on how sort of how long does it typically take you to record one of these videos? So let's say you're doing a 90-second or even
Mm,
a 2 to 3 minute demo or
mhm.
introduction. Are you spending an hour doing lots of takes? Are you doing it? Are you do they call you one take Thomas now, or how often does it? How long does it really take you?
So it kind of depends on the day. I would say when I first started using Vidyard, like it took me a while, like an embarrassing amount of takes. I would do 20 takes to make a 30-second Vidyard. I was not good at it at the beginning. But I committed myself to it because I knew it was going to be a tool that separated me from the pack, forever in my sales career, not just initially. So I decided to just invest the effort and do take after take and different types of Vidyards and see what works and all that, right? So at first it was a lot, and now I can crank them out, one or two or three takes. But at first it was not an easy process, but it's definitely paid off in the long run.
Awesome. Okay, great advice. There is some questions here with respect to getting videos to your customers or prospects via email,
Hmm.
because some of them will have firewalls that will block things like video attachments, of course, which don't
Right.
actually get sent,
Hmm.
and other things. So, have you had any experience with that, or seen any issues with deliverability of videos when sending them?
Yeah, to give you an idea of who I'm selling it to, I'm selling to very large companies, some of the largest brands in the world. Okay, I'm prospecting enterprise accounts. Probably have the most firewalls, like everything from telecommunications to healthcare. So I am hitting the same people that probably have very strict firewalls.
Hmm.
It has rarely come up where it doesn't get through, but it has come up. I'd be lying if I saying it hasn't. But that doesn't mean a lot of times it's just like any link you embed in an email that goes somewhere that's different. I wouldn't say it's just Vidyards, right? It might be any link you put in an email, and they do that for good reason, right? Because they have big systems they can't have vulnerabilities.
Yep.
So, is there ways to get around that? Absolutely. LinkedIn's one of them, of
Yep.
course. Uh, I've sent videos. I have one person in the deal cycle right now. If I'm making him a video, it always goes to his personal email.
Hmm.
But we're friends like that, and then he just forwards it along from there.
Right.
So it has come up, but it's very rare.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the important thing again is that in when you're using a tool like Vidyard or others, you're not actually attaching the video file. You record the video. It puts a thumbnail image for the video. It can be an animated GIF or static, that's hyperlinked to a dedicated page to watch that video. So it's no different from sending an image and a hyperlink with respect to firewall rules.
Hmm.
And then again, yeah, in some cases they will block images or things like that. So yeah, having, but you can absolutely take that same link and then send it to them via LinkedIn or texting it to them or in other ways. And I think those are smart ways to get around it. Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
Sandia asked a quick question here, which I can actually help address, which is it possible to have a 60-second like template video, which may be sort of a general message or whatever it is, an explainer or whatnot, and then add a custom sort of 30-second intro video at the beginning of it? And I don't know if you do this, but I'll speak from a tooling perspective with Vidyard's tools. Yes, that's absolutely possible. So when you, as you're creating any videos, you can also upload videos into your own video library, and at any point you can access those and send them off. But you can also create your own custom quote unquote playlist with multiple videos in a row. So what you'll do is you'll have that template video in your library, and then you'll record your custom 30 seconds, and when you send it, you check off your new one and then your template video, and it automatically makes a playlist of those two to automatically play one after the other. So
Hmm.
your introduction, you can end with, and now check out this great video where I show you exactly that. And then the next one will automatically play right after it. So it's a really smart tactic to not have to recreate the reel every time. If you have some standard content you can put in video, that can be kind of your go-tos to use. Yeah. Have you made any of those, Thomas? Sort of like standard go-to videos that you just got in your library, or are you
I'm
you
a
do
custom guy, dude. I'm not gonna cookie cutter anybody in this world.
Love it. All right, there's a great story here, and I was meaning to ask this as well, and I want to make sure if we have time to answer it from Stephen Wilk here, which is he's interested in your most memorable story of using video in a deal cycle. either, the best video you made or a great use case where you're like, oh, this was a great example where video helped me crush a deal.
I already gave you the secrets, but my first six-figure deal I closed as an account executive, not long after I became an account executive, was I started the sales cycle off with a phone call and then sent a 90-second vidyard, and that was it changed the game for me, and like reaffirmed, like we do these things at sales reps and we doubt ourselves on certain tactics or technology and we're not sure if it's correct, but it just cemented. And the person who bought our stuff told me, he's like, this is why. He's like, that video got seen in 8 different countries. Okay. So that's like, imagine getting all those people in a Zoom call. And half of them probably had a VP in their title. They're not gonna hop on with little old me, right? But they were able to all sign off. So it was that was probably my biggest win that I've had. But of course, I've had more since then.
Love that. The first 6-figure deal. That's a memory you will have for the rest of your life, Mr. Buchanan.
Yes, I drank at my desk that day.
Which nowadays, when you do it, you're just drinking at home like the rest of us. So no another question here from Chad with respect to, do you ever get feedback from people that the videos like feel unprofessional, or like when you're selling into industries where maybe getting a video from somebody isn't sort of the traditional norm? Have you ever had a bad experience, or how do you mitigate that?
Never had I will say that, there's some people who say, all right, Thomas, send me your technical specification sheet, send me, your API, whatever that technical stuff is. And I'll get that information and I'll send it through the Modus platform, right? As technical documents. And I see when they're clicking that, of course, why didn't I talk about that in my tech stack? My own software I sell, geez. And then, then of course I will make a video, but you got to kind of read the room a little bit too, right? Like if you have an IT person asking for a technical spec sheet, you shouldn't send them a vidyard of you eating buffalo wings, right? It's not it's not how you do it, but we got to use common sense for that as well.
Yeah, that's a great point, because not everybody can pull off the wild wing video or like wearing a cowboy hat in their video, especially if you're selling into certain industries. And in other cases, that might be the norm. But I think adjusting your tone, just like you do in messaging, right? Adjusting your style and tone a little bit to the audience. But again, really focusing on the fact that, hey, I wanted to send you a quick video to introduce myself and to clearly explain something, because I think it will really help. And so on. I think if that's your go-to as your tone and your approach, I don't think you're ever going to have anybody saying this was stupid, or why would you do something like this? And I think in most cases we see people getting that, like, wow, this was great. Haven't had an outreach like this before. It happens all the time. Yeah.
Right. Yep. Most people like it. I have never once had my hand slapped for doing it. So there you go. 3 years, no hand slapping.
Perfect. So let me see here. Anything else? I don't think I had any other burning questions for you. I'm going to put it back out to the audience. Use the Q&A, use the chat. Let us know if you have any final questions with Thomas related to, how he's selling with video, how he's gotten over the challenge of using video for himself or for others in his team. Tools, objections, anything like that. Please feel free to drop it in. While you're doing that, maybe I will ask you one last question here, Thomas, which is, are there any mistakes that I guess you made or you've seen others out there making with respect to adding video into their sales cadence? You alluded to like quitting too early. Any other things that you'd say, avoid this mistake at all costs?
Well, I think the first mistake you could make is not trying. So mistake number one is people don't try or they give up, right? And I think that's the worst mistake you could make. But as far as other mistakes, I'd say audio quality is a big one. Video quality, Tyler, you got a window behind you. I'm about to call you out, man. Like your light, look at my lighting. I'm glowing right now.
I'm taking off the lampshade now. My wife.
So, I would, there you go. So don't have a video behind, you don't want to look like you're on America's Most Wanted or whatever, giving a report. So make sure you don't have a they look at you. You look like an angel now. So making sure to do that.
Got my little cube, Loom Cube light here.
Yeah.
I have the nice window open because, well, anyways, I think I have another window beside me, which is casting on me, but you're right.
Yeah.
You have to be careful with that.
Yeah. I had to call you out, man. I just had to do it. So that's a mistake I see people make, because they have and you see that on Zoom meetings too, right? It's like, who is that? But it's a big deal. So lighting, audio quality, but
Yep.
yeah, and also make sure you're trying it.
Yep. Yeah. No, I love that. So I appreciate that. And also you mentioned earlier, keep them quick, right? I've seen a lot of people that, yeah, they end up, getting into 3-minute
Yes.
long videos where they're introducing themselves and explaining something, and it's not the right thing to be doing. Okay, one more question here from Michael Royko. As an SDR, or even an AE doing outbound, what would a typical sequence or cadence look like, and sort of with video added to it, or what kinds of things would you do before sending a video in your sequence?
So I really like the process of starting it off on phone. Like, to be honest, like my sequence. If I'm really trying to get a hold of somebody, it's like call, 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 and then hopefully I get a hold of them, and then I send a video after I chat with them, and then, hypothetically speaking, I get a hold of them, send the video, and if they don't watch it, then I just reply to the video email, re-embed the video saying, "Hey, Jim, do you get a chance to check this out?"
Right.
And then, so that it can increase the click-through rate on the video you already created. But once again, it depends on what you're selling, right? Like, if I was selling smaller size things, I would probably come up with a handful of like industry related videos. So you wouldn't say the name. And I've been fooled before. I will not lie. Some people, I've gotten videos, I think it was HubSpot or something, sent me a video where I thought it was personal, but it was not. And it said,
Right.
"Hey, I'm making you this video because I know you're in the tech industry and I know you're in sales enablement." And
Right.
I'm like, "Oh, wow, like they know me." So you can, break it down to segments
Yep.
and embed that up and use that in a sequence if you want to increase the scalability of making videos.
I love that idea. It's not dissimilar from how we have email templates for
Mm-hmm.
different personas we're going after. I know people will do that as well, where they'll have pre-made videos, either ones like just created and published from their marketing or sales team, or ones they're doing individually. So as a rep, I record my intro video for somebody of this persona, another one for this, another one for this, and now those are in my library, and I can just grab them and send them anytime I need to for those tier 2, tier 3 leads. The tier 1s, I'm still going to make a custom video for them, but that's
Right.
how you can use it to scale. But to your point, you're saying like, "Hey, it's Tyler from Vidyard here, and I know in this and that and that," and you make it feel personal. You're not saying their name,
Yeah.
but you make it feel as personal as possible, and I think that's a great way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Related to that, there was a question about adding video into formal cadences in SalesLoft or in Outreach, and how it is that you do that. I will let people know that Vidyard has a free integration with both SalesLoft and Outreach.
Yep.
So you simply install that extension, and you'll actually see the Vidyard button right inside of SalesLoft or Outreach, and that enables you then to add in videos into your templates. And they also allow a rep to record a custom video right inside of SalesLoft or Outreach before sending that out. So take a look at that. It gives you a super smooth and simple way to add both off the shelf and custom videos into those cadences.
Yep.
Okay, man, I think we're right about at time here. So to respect everyone's time and then needing a few minutes to prep for their next meetings, I think we can wrap it up there. Thank you so very much for joining us here and sharing your secrets to success.
I got to go make some more now. That was 3 years of secrets I just combined into an hour. I need to come up with some more ideas.
Your competitors are going to be up in their game now. I'm sure there's at least 1 or 2 of them listening here, my friend. So you got up yours as well. Any final words here? Let people know how they can connect with you, follow you, and ask you questions directly. I'm sure you'll be happy to answer.
Yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn, Thomas Buchanan. I work at Modus. You just look me up, add me, connect me. Everybody who's connecting with me today or tomorrow, I'll add. But otherwise, I don't accept you randoms. So go ahead and add me.
Fantastic. And you know what? A great idea. Once Thomas connects with you, send him a quick video, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on email. Introduce yourself, make a new friend, and I'm sure he'll be happy to help. So for anybody out there looking for more tips on how to use video throughout your sales process, I mentioned earlier, but you can start using Vidyard for free. Check it out, vidyard.com/free. As Thomas said, there's no harm in trying it. If you're looking for best practices, check out the resources on our website. We have a video and sales guide in our resource section. We also have an inspiration library with lots of examples of other reps and the kinds of videos they're creating and using. So lots of things there you can go and give a shot today. Let me know what you think. I'm Tyler Lessard, VP Marketing at Vidyard. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll even put my email address out there, tyler.lessard@vidyard.com. Don't make me regret it. Send me a video, introduce yourself. Let me know what you think, and let me know how I can help you with answers to anything else about video.
He's got budget, folks. He's got budget.
I got budget. I got budget and an empty inbox and just waiting.
Yeah, you'll be the only ones in there. Check it.
Well, thanks again, guys. Thanks, Thomas. And
yeah, my pleasure.
All the best, everyone.